On June 15, 1995, newlyweds Emma and David Miller checked into the Grand Paradise Resort for their dream honeymoon. They were seen laughing at the poolside bar, planning excursions, and celebrating their new life together. But when housekeeping knocked on their door 3 days later, they found something that would haunt the resort staff forever. The room was completely untouched, as if the couple had simply vanished into thin air. What happened next would remain a mystery for 25 years, until a former hotel worker stepped forward with information that would change everything. Because what she revealed wasn't just about a missing couple, it was about a systematic cover-up that reached the highest levels of the resort, and a truth so disturbing that powerful people had spent decades ensuring it would never see the light of day. Our story begins in 1995 at the Grand Paradise Resort on the Caribbean island of St. Lucia. This luxury facility, surrounded by crystal-clear waters and golden sands, was one of the most prestigious honeymoon destinations of its era. Emma Rodriguez, a 26-year-old elementary school teacher, and David Miller, a 28-year-old software engineer, had met in Boston, married 2 years later, and spent their entire savings on this dream vacation. Emma's mother, Teresa, remembered her daughter's promise to call every evening at 8 p.m. For the first 2 nights, the calls came right on schedule, filled with excitement about snorkeling, sunset dinners, and their magnificent ocean view suite. On the 3rd night, the phone never rang. The Grand Paradise Resort, built in the late 1980s, was one of St. Lucia's most prestigious facilities with 200 rooms and a private beach. Located on a small peninsula, accessible only by boat from the main island, this isolated location offered guests perfect privacy while creating an environment completely cut off from the outside world. Emma and David had flown from Boston on June 13th, landing at Hua Airport before taking the resort's private transfer to the facility. Carlos Mendez at reception had handled their check-in, assigning the couple to Suite 1247, one of the resort's most beautiful rooms with direct ocean views, a spacious balcony, and jacuzzi. On their first day, the couple dined at the restaurant, ordered cocktails from the bar, and walked along the beach. Other guests described them as a happy, loving couple. On the second day, they joined a diving excursion, enjoyed afternoon spa massages, and danced to live music in the evening. But on the morning of June 15th, housekeeping attendant Carmen Valdez entered the room to discover a shocking scene. The bed was unused. All bathroom items remained in place. On the balcony table sat 2 half-empty champagne glasses as if they had just stepped away. Emma's purse was open with contents scattered, but no valuables were missing. David's wallet, watch, and wedding ring sat on the dresser. The strangest detail was Emma's diary. Her final entry was dated June 14th at 11:30 p.m. "Tomorrow we're taking the Sunset Cruise. David surprised me with dinner reservations at the Lighthouse restaurant. I've never been this happy. This place is paradise. But something about the staff seems odd. The way they look at us sometimes. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Can't wait to call Mom tomorrow." That call never came. Resort manager Jonathan Blake was immediately notified. He contacted local police chief inspector Marcus Thompson at 2:47 p.m. Thompson arrived with 2 officers within the hour. The initial investigation was thorough, but yielded few clues. The couple's luggage remained packed as if for an extended stay. Their passports, return tickets, and traveler's checks were untouched. Security footage showed Emma and David leaving their room at 10:15 p.m. on June 14th, heading toward the main lobby. They appeared relaxed, Emma carrying a small evening bag, David wearing a casual shirt and shorts. The cameras captured them walking through the lobby, past the bar, and toward the rear exit leading to the resort's private pier. The footage ended there. The security camera monitoring the pier had mysteriously malfunctioned that evening, the first time in 6 months, according to head of security Vincent Crawford. Inspector Thompson interviewed every staff member who had contact with the couple. Bartender Miguel Santos remembered serving them piña coladas around 10 p.m. Concierge Lisa Chen had arranged their sunset cruise for the following evening. None reported anything unusual about the couple's behavior or demeanor. The investigation expanded to include the surrounding waters. The St. Lucia Coast Guard deployed 3 boats and a helicopter to search the coastline and nearby reefs. Divers explored underwater caves and coral formations. After 5 days, they found nothing. No clothing, no personal effects, no sign of the missing Americans. Dr. Patricia Wells, the resort's physician, was questioned about any medical emergencies that night. She reported treating no guests and receiving no emergency calls. The resort's boat captain, Fernando Ruiz, confirmed no vessels had departed the private marina after 6 p.m. on June 14th. As days turned into weeks, theories multiplied. Some suggested the couple had staged their own disappearance to escape debt or relationship problems. Background checks revealed no financial troubles. David's software company was thriving, and Emma had just received tenure at her school. Others theorized about an accident while swimming, though both were described as strong swimmers who had shown no interest in nighttime water activities. The investigation reached international attention when Emma's family hired private investigator Robert Hayes, a former FBI agent specializing in missing persons cases in tourist destinations. Hayes spent 3 weeks on St. Lucia, interviewing residents, studying maritime charts, and reviewing evidence the local police had collected. Hayes discovered several troubling inconsistencies. The malfunctioning security camera had been sabotaged. Its wiring showed clear signs of deliberate damage. The pier where the couple was last seen had been thoroughly cleaned with industrial bleach the morning their disappearance was discovered, despite not being scheduled for maintenance. Most disturbing, Hayes found that Grand Paradise Resort had experienced 2 other unexplained guest disappearances in the previous decade, information that had never been shared with investigating authorities. 3 months after Emma and David vanished, the case was officially classified as missing persons presumed deceased. The resort quietly implemented new security measures and relocated several staff members to other properties in their international chain. The Miller and Rodriguez families received undisclosed financial settlements from the resort's insurance company, with non-disclosure agreements preventing them from discussing details publicly. The story might have ended there, buried in filing cabinets and fading memories, if not for events that unfolded 25 years later. In March 2020, as the COVID-19 pandemic shut down tourist destinations worldwide, Maria Santos found herself unemployed for the first time in 3 decades. At 67, the former Grand Paradise Resort employee faced an uncertain future. More troubling than her financial situation, however, was the weight of secrets she had carried since 1995. Maria had worked as head of housekeeping at Grand Paradise from 1990 to 1998. She knew every corner of the resort, every employee, and every guest who had walked those marble floors. She also knew what happened to Emma and David Miller, knowledge that had haunted her for 25 years. The decision to come forward wasn't easy. Maria's family had received anonymous threats after the 1995 investigation, warning them to forget what they might have seen. Her younger brother Miguel, who had worked as a bartender, had been transferred to a resort in Mexico immediately after the incident. Her nephew Carlos, the desk clerk, had quit abruptly and moved to Venezuela. But in 2020, with her own health declining and most of the people she feared long dead or retired, Maria contacted retired FBI agent Robert Hayes. She had followed his career and knew he had never stopped investigating the case. Their first phone conversation lasted 4 hours. Maria's account began on the evening of June 14, 1995. She had been working late, training a new employee, when she witnessed something that would change her understanding of the resort's operations forever. "I was finishing inventory in the supply room near the staff quarters when I heard voices from the manager's office," Maria told Hayes. "Mr. Blake was arguing with someone, a man I didn't recognize. They were speaking English, but with accents I couldn't place. The stranger kept saying, 'The merchandise needs to be processed tonight, and the buyers are waiting.'" Curious and concerned, Maria had positioned herself where she could observe without being seen. Through the partially open door, she watched as Blake handed the stranger a manila envelope. In return, the man gave Blake a thick bundle of cash and what appeared to be a list of names. "I saw Emma and David's names on that list," Maria revealed, along with 4 other couples, all guests who had checked in that week. The revelation was staggering. According to Maria, Grand Paradise Resort wasn't just a luxury vacation destination, it was a front for a human trafficking operation that targeted wealthy tourists. Couples were selected based on their lack of family connections at the destination, their plans for extended stays, and their financial profiles. Maria's story continued with chilling detail. After midnight on June 15th, she had been summoned to help with what Blake described as an emergency cleanup. She was led to a maintenance area beneath the resort that she had never seen before, a series of concrete tunnels and rooms that connected to the private marina. In one of these underground chambers, Maria found evidence of the missing couple. Emma's distinctive turquoise bracelet lay on a concrete floor beside torn fabric from David's shirt. Dark stains covered the walls and floor, stains that staff were ordered to clean with industrial chemicals. "They told us it was red wine from a catering accident," Maria said, "but I knew better. I'd cleaned enough blood from guest rooms to know the difference." The operation, as Maria described it, was sophisticated and brutal. Selected couples were drugged during evening dining or drinks, then transported through the underground tunnels to waiting boats. The drugs induced memory loss and disorientation, making resistance nearly impossible. Some victims were sold to wealthy collectors who wanted Western companions. Others disappeared into forced labor operations on remote islands where oversight was minimal. Blake, according to Maria, was a mid-level operator in a network that spanned multiple Caribbean resorts. The real power came from investors who owned the resort chain, individuals with connections to organized crime, corrupt government officials, and wealthy clients who paid premium prices for human trafficking services. The security camera malfunction was standard protocol. The industrial cleaning of the pier was designed to eliminate physical evidence. The lack of cooperation from other staff members wasn't loyalty to management, it was fear for their lives and the lives of their families. Maria's testimony was corroborated by physical evidence Hayes had collected in 1995, but couldn't fully interpret at the time. The deliberate camera sabotage, the chemical cleaning, the staff transfers, all fit the pattern of a coordinated cover-up operation. Most compelling was Maria's revelation about the resort's ownership structure. Grand Paradise was owned by a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands, which was controlled by another company in Panama, which ultimately traced back to investors in Eastern Europe with documented ties to human trafficking rings. Armed with Maria's testimony, Hayes contacted current FBI investigators specializing in international human trafficking. In September 2020, a joint task force including FBI, Interpol, and St. Lucia authorities launched Operation Paradise Lost, a comprehensive investigation into the resort and its connected properties. The investigation revealed that the trafficking operation had continued for years after Emma and David's disappearance. Resort records, once thought destroyed, were recovered from digital backups. These showed a pattern of guest incidents that coincided with arrivals of private yachts and chartered flights not listed on official manifests. Financial records revealed millions of dollars in unexplained transfers between the resort and accounts in countries known for lax banking oversight. Communication intercepts showed coded messages about inventory levels and client preferences that clearly referenced human trafficking activities. In November 2020, authorities raided properties across 6 countries. 12 arrests were made, including former resort manager Jonathan Blake, who had been living under an assumed name in Costa Rica. Blake, facing life imprisonment, agreed to cooperate with investigators in exchange for a reduced sentence. His testimony provided the final pieces of the puzzle. Emma and David Miller had been targeted because they fit the profile traffickers preferred. An attractive, educated couple with no children, traveling alone to an isolated destination. Their selection was random. They were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Blake revealed that the couple had been drugged during their evening cocktails on June 14th. The drugs were administered by bartender Maria Santos, who had been coerced into participating through threats against his family. Emma and David were then transported to the underground facility while unconscious. The original plan was to keep them sedated until a buyer could be found. However, David regained consciousness sooner than expected and attempted to fight back. In the struggle, both victims were fatally injured. Rather than lose their investment entirely, the traffickers disposed of the bodies at sea using the resort's private boats. Blake's confession led to the recovery of physical evidence from underwater locations he identified. Marine archaeologists found personal items belonging to Emma and David in a deep-water trench 15 miles from the resort. DNA analysis confirmed the items had belonged to the missing couple. The investigation also uncovered evidence of at least 17 other victims from various resorts in the trafficking network between 1993 and 2007. Some had been reported as drowning accidents or disappearances. Others had never been reported missing at all. Their families told they had decided to extend their vacations or travel to other destinations. Maria Santos received recognition from the FBI for her courage in coming forward. Her testimony was instrumental in dismantling a trafficking network that had operated with impunity for over a decade. She also received protection under the Federal Witness Security Program due to ongoing threats from individuals connected to the organization. The Grand Paradise Resort was permanently closed in 2021. The property was seized by St. Lucia authorities and converted into a marine research facility dedicated to protecting Caribbean ecosystems, a fitting transformation from a place of exploitation to one of conservation. Emma Rodriguez and David Miller were finally laid to rest in a ceremony attended by family, friends, and the investigators who had never stopped searching for the truth. Their story became a catalyst for improved safety measures at tourist destinations throughout the Caribbean and greater international cooperation in combating human trafficking. The case also led to legislative changes requiring tourist destinations to implement stronger security protocols, maintain comprehensive guest tracking systems, and submit to regular inspections by international oversight bodies. For Teresa Rodriguez, Emma's mother, the resolution brought both closure and continued pain. "Knowing what happened doesn't bring her back," she said during the memorial service, "but at least she and David can rest in peace, and other families won't have to endure 25 years of not knowing." The investigation's final report, published in 2022, detailed how a perfect storm of isolation, corruption, and inadequate oversight had allowed the trafficking operation to flourish. It made 47 recommendations for improving tourist safety and preventing similar crimes in vacation destinations worldwide. Today, a memorial plaque at the former Grand Paradise Resort site honors Emma and David Miller along with the other victims of the trafficking network. The inscription reads, "In memory of those who sought paradise and found tragedy, may their stories ensure that others find the safety and joy that travel should bring." The case serves as a sobering reminder that evil can hide behind paradise's beautiful facade, and that sometimes the most horrific crimes occur in the places where people feel safest. Emma and David Miller's honeymoon was meant to be the beginning of their life together. Instead, it became a 25-year journey toward justice that finally brought their story to light. Their memory lives on not just in the hearts of those who loved them, but in the safety measures their case helped implement, and the other lives their tragedy helped save.